I usually don't ask this early, but if you could like the video and subscribe, it would mean a lot. We're so close to hitting 1,000 subscribers, and your support can really help get my content out there. Thanks. Asterisk Amelia Fisher asterisk. 34. A successful architect from Berlin, known for her beauty, charm, and sharp intellect. Amelia has been married for 10 years to Marcus. Asterisk Marcus Fisher. Asterisk 36. A patient, soft-spoken lawyer who has always adored his wife. Marcus is deeply committed to his family and the life they've built together. Asterisk Luca Bianchi. Asterisk 38. An Italian entrepreneur from Milan with a magnetic personality and bold charm. Luca is passionate and adventurous, constantly pushing boundaries. It was an ordinary Thursday evening in Berlin. The chill of autumn had started creeping into the air, and the once lively city had now entered that delicate phase between summer's warmth and the biting cold of winter. Inside their spacious yet cozy apartment, Marcus Fisher sat at the dining table, his eyes focused on a stack of legal documents. The faint sound of jazz played in the background, and the aroma of dinner wafted through the open-plan kitchen. His wife, Amelia, was busy at the stove, preparing her signature pasta dish. There was something almost surreal about the normalcy of the scene. To an outsider, they looked like the picture-perfect couple, married for 10 years, successful in their respective careers, living in a stylish Berlin apartment. But there was a tension in the air, something that had been building for weeks now, although Marcus couldn't quite put his finger on what it was. He looked up from his papers and watched her. Amelia was beautiful. There was no denying that. Her long blonde hair cascaded down her back in soft waves, and her graceful movements spoke of a woman who had always been in control. Yet lately, there had been something distant about her. She'd been more distracted, more evasive, and there were moments when she seemed lost in thought, as if her mind was somewhere far away. "Is everything okay?" Marcus asked, his voice soft but concerned. Amelia froze for a moment, the question catching her off guard. She quickly regained her composure, flashing him a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Of course," she replied, her tone too light, too rehearsed. Marcus wasn't convinced. His instincts told him something was wrong, but he wasn't the type to pry. He trusted Amelia, had trusted her implicitly for the entirety of their marriage. But tonight something felt different. His unease was growing. Just as Marcus was about to press further, the doorbell rang. He frowned, glancing at the clock on the wall. It was unusual for them to have visitors this late, especially on a weeknight. "I'll get it," Amelia said quickly, wiping her hands on a towel and rushing toward the door before Marcus could even rise from his seat. Curiosity piqued, Marcus stood up and followed her, his eyes narrowing, as he heard the low murmur of voices. As he rounded the corner, his heart skipped a beat. Standing in the doorway was Luca Bianchi. Luca was a man Marcus knew all too well. He was Amelia's business associate from a project she had worked on in Milan a few months ago. The Italian entrepreneur was charming, charismatic, and effortlessly handsome. His dark hair was impeccably styled, and his tailored suit exuded wealth and confidence. But more than anything, it was the way Luca carried himself, like a man who was used to getting what he wanted, that made Marcus uneasy. Luca smiled, his dark eyes gleaming as he stepped into the apartment with the kind of ease that suggested he had been here before. "Marcus, good to see you," he said, his voice smooth and rich, with a heavy Italian accent. Marcus forced a smile in return, though his chest tightened with unease. "Luca," he greeted, trying to keep his tone neutral, "what brings you here?"
Before Luca could respond, Amelia stepped in, her face a mixture of nervousness and determination. "Marcus, we need to talk," she said, her voice trembling ever so slightly. Marcus's heart began to race. He could feel it now, the tension building to a boiling point, and he knew whatever was coming next was going to change everything. "Let's sit," Amelia suggested, gesturing toward the living room. Marcus hesitated, glancing between Amelia and Luca. The atmosphere in the room felt heavy, thick with unspoken words. Reluctantly, he followed them to the living room, sitting down on the sofa as Amelia and Luca took seats across from him. For a long moment, no one spoke. The silence stretched, becoming almost unbearable. Finally, Amelia broke it. "Marcus," she began, her voice soft but steady. "There's something you need to know. I've been seeing Luca." The words hung in the air like a thunderclap, reverberating in Marcus's mind. His breath caught in his throat as he stared at her, trying to process what she had just said. Seeing Luca? What did that even mean? His stomach churned with nausea as the realization slowly dawned on him. "You mean an affair?" Marcus asked, his voice barely a whisper. Amelia nodded, her eyes brimming with tears. "It started during the project in Milan. I didn't mean for it to happen, Marcus, but it did." Marcus felt like the ground had been ripped out from under him. He had always believed in the strength of their marriage, always trusted Amelia completely. And now, here she was, confessing to infidelity. The room seemed to spin, and for a moment, Marcus thought he might be sick. Luca, who had remained silent up until this point, finally spoke. "I love her, Marcus," he said, his voice calm and confident. "And she loves me." Marcus's eyes snapped to Luca, rage bubbling up inside him. "What the hell are you doing here?" he demanded, his voice shaking with anger. "Why are you even here right now?" Luca leaned forward, his expression composed. "Because Amelia doesn't want to leave you," he explained. "She loves you too, Marcus. But we have a connection, something deep and real, and I'm not going to walk away from that." Marcus stared at Luca in disbelief. "So what?" he spat. "You think you can just waltz in here and tell me you're in love with my wife and expect me to... what? Share her with you?" Amelia's face was pale, her hands trembling in her lap. "I know this is hard to understand," she whispered. "But it's true, Marcus. I love you. I don't want to leave you. But I love Luca, too. I'm torn, and I don't know what to do." Marcus ran a hand through his hair, his mind racing. This couldn't be happening. It felt like some twisted nightmare. He had never imagined in a million years that Amelia would betray him like this. And now she was asking him to accept it, to somehow make peace with the fact that she was in love with another man. Luca's voice cut through Marcus's swirling thoughts. "I'm not asking for your permission, Marcus," he said. "I'm telling you the truth. I want Amelia to be happy, and I believe that means having both of us in her life." Marcus's fists clenched at his sides. "So what?" he said bitterly. "You want me to share my wife with you? Is that it? You think you can just come into my life and make demands like this?" Luca remained calm, his gaze steady. "I'm offering you a choice, Marcus. You can try to hold on to her and force her to choose between us. Or we can find a way to make this work for her sake." Amelia looked up, her eyes pleading with Marcus. "I don't want to hurt you," she said, her voice breaking. "But I can't deny my feelings for Luca. I don't want to lose you, Marcus, but I can't walk away from him either." Marcus felt a wave of despair wash over him. He loved Amelia more than anything, but the thought of sharing her with another man was unbearable. How could she even ask him to consider something like this? It was insane. He stood up abruptly, needing to put some distance between himself and the two of them. "I can't believe this," he muttered, pacing the room. "This is insane." Amelia watched him with tear-filled eyes, her hands trembling in her lap. She had never seen Marcus like this before, so angry, so hurt. The guilt was suffocating her, but at the same time she couldn't deny the truth of what she felt for Luca. She loved him in a way that was different from her love for Marcus, but it was no less real. Luca, for his part, remained calm and composed. He had anticipated this reaction from Marcus, but he also believed that given time, they could find a solution that worked for everyone. "Marcus," Luca said gently, "I know this is difficult, but Amelia deserves to be happy. We both love her, and I believe we can make this work if we're willing to try." Marcus stopped pacing and turned to face them, his expression one of disbelief and betrayal. "You really think this can work?" he asked, his voice filled with